Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda. I'm a late diagnosed autistic woman. I have ADHD. I have a memory disorder called SDAM, stands for Severely Deficient Autobiographical Memory, and I have total, or sometimes called global aphantasia, which means that I don't experience any of the senses in my mind. I have playlists on all of these, and in this video I want to talk a little bit about how my unmasking journey has been since, kind of an update on my unmasking journey since my diagnosis. So for those who are unfamiliar, a late diagnosed autistic person has basically gone as far as they have in life undiagnosed because they are something called high masking. That means that we can appear to be neurotypical for a short period of time. It is a survival technique that the brain does to protect itself because as humans we don't want to be different. It is not safe for a human to appear different, and so the brain of an autistic person learns mimicry and masking techniques, and we're not aware that we are doing it for the most part. I have heard some autistic people realize that they have a shield, that they call it, or sometimes they call it their mask before they were diagnosed, that they put on when they go out in the public and that they are somebody else at home, but they still have like almost a disconnect of why they do that. I wasn't aware of my mask. I did not know that I was trying to assimilate and appear neurotypical. I just thought I was neurotypical because why would you think otherwise? Because that is the common neurotype and that is what society is set up and built for. And yet I always felt othered. I felt different. I would cry and cry when I was a teenager, not understanding why I didn't have friends. People were nice to me because I could appear neurotypical for short periods of time, but nobody ever really wanted to have deep, meaningful friendships with me. And I go into, more details on different videos, but since my diagnosis, I've been working on unmasking, and what that means is, so again, the mask created a shell of a human. It created a shell of a person. I was closely approaching, well, I was actually in an autistic burnout because maintaining the mask is exhausting for any human. And so basically you just start to shut down. A lot of autistic women who go further become more cynical. They don't go out as much. They're like, oh, why even bother trying to have friends? Because it's just so hard to try to fit in anymore. My mask kept me safe in ways that anytime I did something, it was running what I call a program of be a good girl, don't make waves, keep other people's comfort ahead of your own. And so with that programming running in my brain, unawares, I would put forth a persona of having my life together and being perfect. And I would not voice strong opinions. I would always kind of be in agreement with people. And it was disheartening because I felt like nobody could see me. I felt very invisible in crowds. And the reason why is because I wasn't letting anybody see who I was. I just didn't know it. There was a big, huge disconnect. There's a lot of disassociation that can happen around your mask too. In order to keep my senses safe in loud places, I would disassociate to a certain degree and tune out overwhelming stimuli and just like hyper focus in on like a tiny little bubble around me. It actually probably put myself in, could potentially have been dangerous situations, because like in parking lots and things like that, like I wasn't aware of my surroundings because I would disassociate and just like keep myself focused on just what's right there, immediate space. So, you know, that alone is one reason why masking can be not a good thing for an autistic person's mental health. But how does this relate to my memory disorder? And there's some people on this channel who are following me because of the memory disorder, and they're not autistic, but they're going to be having other changes going on in their life. And it's interesting when you have a memory disorder and you have a big life change and not actually, I'm starting to lose memory of who I was before my diagnosis. So my memory disorder, I pretty much stay in the present, and I don't focus much on the past because I can't remember it. I have semantic memories. That means that I have knowledge and facts about some of the things that I've done, but it's like reading a grocery list. There's no emotional attachment to my past. And so I can't relive experiences that I had as a masked autistic person. I just have some kind of knowledge of maybe how I acted, but it's very remote, right? Like there's no actual, I can't put myself back into a memory. It's one reason why I have this vlog, because I'm creating these videos and I will be able to see and rewatch how I used to be as I've unmasked. If you go back to the beginning of my channel, which was like last September, I think is when I started. I got diagnosed in October. I started the channel right on the cusp of realizing that I might potentially be autistic. And I'm a lot different. My persona is more bubbly and animated, and it's because I was still much more masked. And I'm learning to drop the mask and just let myself be who I am and not try to talk a certain way. So I have a video on autistic speech patterns, and sometimes when I'm talking about something that is hard to talk about, my speech will actually slow down completely and it's hard to get the words out. Other times when I'm talking about something that I'm really, really passionate about, I can just go on really forever. When I'm overstimulated, I can talk really quickly, and that can also make me stutter over my words too, in a way. But at this point, I haven't gone back and rewatched any of my videos, partly because I like to just stay in the present. I don't really spend much time reminiscing about the past, hardly ever, just because that's how my brain works, because I don't have a memory. So I don't even think to reminisce often. When other people are talking about memories and things like that, sometimes I will join in on the conversation, but most of the time I just live in the present. I have seen snippets of old videos already, because like if you ask a question on an older video, if I don't have context, because I won't remember what I said in a previous video, I might go back and rewatch parts of it to try to remember what I might have said that led to your question, so that way I can answer it fully. It's a really good thing that there's an autistic trait that many autistic people don't like to lie or feel very uncomfortable lying. And with any autistic trait, doesn't mean that applies to you and you might still be autistic. Some autistic people become experts at lying because that's part of their survival technique of their mask. I definitely was a person who, growing up, I never liked lying. I felt very uncomfortable. It's very unnatural for me to lie. I almost can't physically do it. I will have to twist it to say some form of the truth in the best way possible. For me to outright lie is not something I can do easily. Let's just say that. And it's a good thing because of my memory disorder. I wouldn't remember my lies. I wouldn't be able to keep track of them. So, it's a good thing that I don't lie. Now, that doesn't mean I don't grow and change and have my thoughts and opinions change over time. So what may have been a truth for me a year ago, 2 years ago, 6 months ago, as I grow and change, because personal growth is a ongoing special interest of mine, my truth may change, but that's not that I lied in the past. It's that I now have gained a new perspective. But it is interesting to know that I'm capturing my words at a moment in time on video, and these are, in a way, my memories, because I don't have memories in my brain. Hold on, I totally forgot where I was going with that. ADHD brain.
I keep in my long pauses because if you're talking to an autistic or ADHD person, this could happen. I become aware of my silence, which causes anxiety because I'm hyper aware of not wasting someone's time.
I really try to do very minimal editing and editing out my pauses or my speech in my videos, because I want this to be a lived experience vlog, but I also want to respect your time. So sometimes if I know my brain is shut down and it's going to be like a minute long pause before I can get it back on track, I will pause the video, because then otherwise I get anxious about the pause and then it just spirals to where I can't talk at all. And that happens in real life too. So if you're talking to an autistic person, they become aware of the fact that their words won't come out, and then they will stop talking. And then if the anxiety can spiral up, and if you can just tell that person, it's okay, take your time, I'm listening, that can kind of calm the anxiety, and then our words might be able to start flowing again. So yeah, the unmasking process is going well. I feel a lot less stressed overall than I did 6-8 months ago. Oh my gosh, my level of stress was so high that I didn't know how to be calm. If there was a moment in a day where there was nothing that I needed to be worried about, that caused me anxiety, because my body had gotten so used to being hyper vigilant, hyper aware, always masking, always on alert, that if there was a moment of peace, that caused stress. And that isn't good for any human being. My nose is really itching. So now, as I've been unmasking and I've been learning, and so what is unmasking? Like, it's taking time to not just say yes to any social event because you were invited, which, honestly, let's say that doesn't really happen that often, which is one reason why I always felt obligated to say yes, because if I got an invitation, it was like, oh my gosh, yes, I got to do this thing, because when will be my next opportunity to socialize? But now I'm trying to gauge whether or not it's something I actually want to do, or if it's just because I feel like I should do it. And so having a little bit more control over that. Also, unmasking is learning to speak up and form my own opinions about the things that are going on and around in the world. Before, I would not say anything that was super controversial, because I would be offending somebody, and my mask says that you have to put everybody's comfort ahead of your own, and you can't please every single human out there. It's not going to work, because we're all very different with all different opinions. And so now I'm learning to find my own truth and stand up for what I believe in. And that means that some people aren't going to like me. And you know what? That's okay. Because the thing that I'm learning is to like myself and love myself. And then with that, the people who see me and hear me and want to be friends with me will show up in my life, because there's actually a person there for them to want to befriend. It's not just a people pleasing skin and bones, right? So the unmasking process is scary. It can alienate people. You are going to change. You are not the same person you were before a diagnosis. I talk a bit more about how you might appear more autistic after you're masked more in this video, so I'm not going to repeat it too much here, but you will change, but you're going to change for the better. And I have to add this caveat: it is not safe for every single autistic person to unmask. Unfortunately, we need to get to this place in society because autistic people's lifespans are actually shortened because of all the stress that we're living under so much by being masked. But certain populations of masked autistic people have to stay masked, or they would lose their job, they might lose their children, they might get seen as a threat and be persecuted by police. So one reason why I'm very strong and sharing my opinion, vocalizing and speaking up for autistic and disabled people is because not everybody can, and I have that privilege, and so I want to. And I want to make the place safe for all autistic people to be able to unmask and just live our lives and be accepted for who we are. I think that's a good place to end. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please write them down below. I read all the comments. I respond to as many as I can. This community, it means the world to me, guys.